HOA dues.
I'm not a member.
I don't give a fuck.
My family owns this land. It's been ours for nearly a century, passed down with pride and stubborn loyalty. I grew up here, my dad grew up here, and his father before him carved paths through the same soil. This place existed long before anyone dreamed of stacking modern houses into neat rows and calling them a community. I never bothered with the HOA people who settled nearby, and honestly, I assumed they wouldn't bother with me either. But that assumption shattered when I found a neatly folded letter in my mailbox one quiet morning. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. Apparently, a new HOA president named Karen Willie had taken over, and she announced she was reshaping neighborhood responsibility. According to her, even though I wasn't part of the HOA and never agreed to anything, I now owed $30 weekly to support the expanding neighborhood. I laughed, tore the letter apart, and tossed it in the bin, assuming she'd figure out her error. I underestimated how determined a bored Karen could be. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. The next day, another letter appeared with even more ridiculous phrasing about mandatory participation. Shredded. Then came a third, taped aggressively to the mailbox, along with a handwritten message. Refusal won't protect you. That one made me pause. Not out of fear, but because it was so over the top, it felt like a villain monologue. I tossed it away and returned to my routine. But later that week, while I was locking up the shed, I noticed Karen standing far off by the fence line. Sunglasses on, arms folded, posture stiff like she was posing for a poster titled Neighborhood Tyrant. She didn't speak. She just watched me, tilted her head slowly, then strutted away as if she had already claimed victory in a battle I never signed up for. The silence she left behind felt louder than any threat she could have spoken. I ignored it, convinced she'd eventually grow tired. But I should have known, people like her never get tired. They escalate. A few days later, more letters piled up in my mailbox, each one louder in tone than the last, as if Karen believed increasing the aggression in her font would magically make me hand over money I didn't owe. Every envelope went straight into the shredder. I didn't even bother reading beyond the first lines once I recognized her dramatic handwriting. But the real turning point came the following morning. I stepped outside, stretching and ready to start my chores, only to see Karen standing boldly at my gate like she owned the place. Her posture radiated pure entitlement, chin raised high enough to scrape the sky. She demanded I cooperate for the good of the neighborhood and warned that she intended to teach me a lesson I would never forget. I stared at her, unimpressed, and walked back inside. Empty threats bounce off me like raindrops. But the next morning, she proved she wasn't bluffing, she was unhinged. The first thing I noticed were my CCTV cameras, completely blinded. Someone had climbed the fence and spray painted every lens with thick white paint. Then my gate caught my eye. In massive neon red letters, Chronic Debtor. The paint dripped dramatically like she wanted to provoke a documentary film crew. Before I could react, I nearly stepped on something sharp. She had placed metal spikes right outside the gate, spaced perfectly to puncture all 4 tires if I had driven out. For someone who claimed to care about community improvement, she certainly invested a lot in sabotage. I snapped photos of everything and sent them straight to my lawyer. He assured me he was preparing charges, but paperwork takes time. Unfortunately, Karen didn't need time. She needed chaos. Later that evening, I heard rustling outside and spotted her pacing near the fence with a flashlight, muttering to herself like she was plotting a revolution. Her determination wasn't admirable. It was concerning. My lawyer warned me things might escalate faster than expected, but even he didn't predict the stunt she pulled next. Karen was just getting warmed up, and her idea of teaching lessons was about to reach a whole new level of outrageous. One early morning, before the sun had fully climbed over the fields, I woke to a noise that didn't belong anywhere near my property. At first, I thought it was a stray animal, but the moment I stepped onto the porch, I heard it clearly. Karen's voice, sharp enough to slice through quiet air. She was outside my gate, yelling like she was auditioning for a reality show no one asked to watch. I marched out, already irritated, and found her pointing at me with the confidence of someone who thought the world revolved around her clipboard. She declared she had already called the police and assured me I was finally paying the price. The smugness in her tone would have powered a generator. I didn't panic. Honestly, I felt relieved that officers were coming. I thought this nonsense would finally collapse under its own stupidity. Minutes later, the police SUV pulled up. Karen practically sprinted to them, shouting over the engine, insisting they arrest me immediately for being a neighborhood menace. She waved her arms so frantically she looked like she was trying to land a helicopter. The officers listened, but something in their expressions shifted the moment they turned toward my property. They noticed the vandalized cameras, the neon red graffiti, the metal spikes neatly arranged to maim my tires. Every piece of evidence screamed one thing, and none of it pointed at me. Karen's voice grew shaky as they asked her if she had done any of it. She tried twisting reality, claiming I had somehow set everything up myself to frame her. But the officers weren't buying it. Her story collapsed faster than her patience. Within minutes, she was in handcuffs, completely stunned, demanding they unhand the president of the HOA. Nobody listened. I didn't waste a second. I contacted my lawyer, sending him every photo and video I had. He told me this was the perfect window to push every charge we discussed. Karen's arrest wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something much bigger. And while she screamed from the back seat of the police car, I knew she had absolutely no idea how badly things were about to turn. Court day arrived with the kind of tension you could slice clean in half. Karen strutted into the courtroom like she was walking onto a stage built for her, chin lifted, sunglasses perched on her head, acting like the entire justice system existed purely to applaud her. The moment proceedings began, she launched into a dramatic speech, claiming she had only been protecting the peace, and that I was the one endangering the neighborhood's harmony. She painted herself as some guardian angel of property values, completely ignoring the mountain of evidence stacked against her. My lawyer let her talk, every exaggerated word, every lie, every theatrical sigh. The more she rambled, the deeper she buried herself. Then came the evidence presentation. Photos of the spray-painted cameras, images of the spikes she neatly positioned, video clips showing her pacing around my fence at night, copies of her letters demanding money she had no authority to request, witness statements from neighbors who had watched her shouting at my gate for days. As the prosecution laid everything out, Karen's confidence wilted like a cheap bouquet. She tried interrupting, objecting, even accusing the judge of favoritism, which earned her a warning that nearly made her faint. When the verdict was finally delivered, her jaw hit the floor. She was charged with vandalism, harassment, attempted extortion, trespassing, property damage, reckless endangerment, and filing a false police report. On top of that, she was ordered to pay full restitution for every camera, every fence repair, and every damaged surface she'd touched with her neon red tantrums. But the real blow came when the judge sentenced her to 18 months in county jail, plus community service hours specifically assigned outside the HOA's territory. The room went silent except for her gasp, sharp, dramatic, and completely satisfying. As she was escorted away, still babbling about leadership and responsibility, I felt the weight of months of chaos lift from my chest. Justice didn't just land. It stomped down hard, right where it needed to. And the land my family owned for 100 years stood just as strong as ever, untouched by her nonsense at last. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.